storming, keeping the light on, righting old wrongs, keeping our sights on everything we want. We catch our breath in the middle of it all, chasing echoes. Sun is coming up over us, it's coming. Crystal vision, like a fever, burning up, yeah, we're on fire. True believer, we're walking on the wire. I can see on the horizon all our hopes. We can feel it, chasing the light is all we know. See in the forest, for the trees I'm keeping watch. All that is storming, waking up and turning on, keeping the light on, righting all the wrongs, keeping our sights on everything we want. We catch our breath in the middle of it all, chasing echoes. Sun is coming up over us, it's coming. Crystal vision, like a fever, burning up, yeah, we're on fire. True believer, we're walking on the wire. I can see on the horizon all our hopes. We can feel it, chasing the light is all we know. Chasing the light is all we know. Can't stop and I won't let it go. Chasing the light is all we know. Can't stop and I won't let it go. Like a fever, burning up, yeah, we're on fire. True believer, we're walking on the wire. I can see on the horizon all our hopes. We can feel it, chasing the light is all we know. Like a fever, burning up, yeah, we're on fire. True believer, we're walking on the wire. I can see
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in.
Hello again, welcome back everybody to the second week of the Pokemon exhibitions here on Bagel Productions, and this time it is the Battle of the Cord. The Unite Cord has gotten together to throw hands in a best of 5 set, but before we talk about them, we gotta talk about us real quick. I am Ajax, and I get to be joined once again by my boy Last. How's it going, bro?
It's going well, man. It's going excellent now that we got a little bit of Pokemon Unite ahead of us. The production is significantly upgraded, as you can all see. It's not just
today.
Yeah, it's not just me and Ajax floating in the black void like we were last time.
Yo, I'm so happy I looked at the chat.
You and I both looked at chat at the exact same time. Skip, you want me to name three held items?
Yeah, name three held items right now, real quick.
Focus Band, Floatstone, Shell Bell. There you go.
Damn, got him. All right, so
I can name all of them if you want me to.
Yeah, close the game real quick. Oh shit, got him. All right, so we're gonna be getting into the set momentarily. We're getting everybody together. This is, we are operating still once again off of the non-spectate mode because unfortunately it is inactive in the one place we could use it. But it's okay because we have live game feed coming from 2 players. We'll be talking about the teams in a moment. But it is going to be a hype one again. We got a returning team who was here last week. Last, you want to run down who is on the opposing side, or excuse me, the returners this week?
So we got, actually, I don't think we have anyone returning because
is it just TK from last week?
It's just TK from last time. He's got an entirely new squad. I'm trying to like play detective a little bit, figuring out who he's actually got on his team.
So luckily I do know everybody who's pretty much on here, other than I think 2 people there. So I'll run down the list. I'll start with the first team then. The first team is the Originals. That is the people who was originally a part of the Unite Cord, the people who all put it together. The Unite Cord was created by Skiff and myself, and we decided to kind of expand upon it. Then TK came in and he literally revamped the whole thing with all the roles. But it is going to be Skiff, who is going to be running most likely Snorlax. or Slowbro, depending on what is necessary. You have gotten bright.
I was trying to turn on my ring light to fix my lighting, and it decided to flashbang me.
It's all good. It's all good. And Issa, trust me, we'll be reaching out to you probably next week. And then there will be the rest of the team is Skiff, Exia, who is a fantastic slowbar player who also has an Eldegoss. Then there is Thwack, who is usually the jungler, but will most likely be playing Ninetales today. And then there's Z-Fly, the Lucario extraordinaire. This is actually pretty much mostly the caster core. There was a bunch of commentators, including yourself previously when you were a part of those. And then Zoo, who is going to be the jungler most likely with the Greninja. But they're very flexible. They have a lot of different outlets they can take. But that is the first team. That is the team that I drafted together for this. And then there is TK's team, which is going to be TK Breezy, who can play pretty much anything you want him to play right now. He's very flexible. He has the Zard, he has the Machamp. He has a Venusaur now, which is very good. He also has, there was one other one he's been working on, Gardevoir and Garchomp, because he's playing for content, and you know that's how that works. And then there's also Tito, who's an excellent Wigglytuff, iGreg, who is also a Slowbro player, and then Dreed and Pats are best. I don't happen to know who they play, but if they can hear me, if you could go ahead and just list it in the chat, we'd like to know who you do play. But it's a very diverse group of people we got here when it comes to skill sets and characters, available to play today. Last.
Yeah, it's almost, I would say, pretty much impossible to predict what these comps are going to be looking like. It could just be literally anything. Like, we could see TK in the jungle with Machamp. We could see TK running top lane. It's just going to come down to what they decide to go with game one. And then it could be completely shaken up again from game two. I know most of these people probably heard yours and my podcast from the last show match where we legit broke down the entirety of the meta at its current point in time, so we don't really need to go over that again. But all of these guys, they know it very, very well. Most of these guys, like you mentioned on the side of the originals, been climbing, been grinding, been going for it. So I'd give them a pretty heavy edge right now, at least. I think they're going to be looking pretty good because they're a static team. They play together a lot, so the comms are going to be good. The comp's going to be set. Meanwhile, the side that TK's pulling up, it is just kind of thrown together by everyone who wants to run it.
Granted, I have seen TK play with Tito and Greg before, so I do know that both of them are very, very solid, and they have worked together before. And TK and Tito, for that point, are both very vocal about what's happening, so they will very much be making sure that things are coordinated. But looks like everybody's ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and give them the green light. And we're going to get ready to get started here. So we're going to be transitioning over to the two feeds. Now, because we don't have spectate mode, again, it's going to be from the perspectives of Zoo and TK Breezy. This is the people you're going to be seeing. Now, you might see us get confused a few times here and there because of the fact that it does put you on the left-hand side all the time. So we have to adjust based off of what we're looking at. But looks like Greg got, stage fright and decided that there he is.
He's back. He's back.
He's back. But yeah, so everybody just runs after we switch it. Here we go. So we're going to start off in game the one here. Like I said, I believe the core of the originals. I don't know which feed we're looking at currently.
We're looking at TK's.
Okay, so this one's from TK's feed, which we'll be seeing after this unfreezes here. But it is going to be TK running with the Venusaur, and then iGreg on the Slowbro like we were expecting. Pat's running Cinderace. Run the set is Tito, just for your awareness. And Annabelle. Oh, okay. I actually have seen this player before. They have they have different names compared to the in-game in their chat. I believe Dreed is the Annabelle. They will be running Ninetales, and then we're going to see the Wigglytuff. So we're going to be seeing what looks like Double Tank, or excuse me, it's going to be Snorlax. So Double Tank, Jungler with the Cinderace most likely, and then two ranged lane controls, which has been a pretty common core amongst the majority of what we're seeing now.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit interested in the fact that TK is running bot lane with Venusaur. Like, Venusaur, of course, before the patch was generally regarded as one of, if not the worst character in the game. Now actually pretty usable. But I'm wondering who's going to be going bot lane with him. Probably iGreg, going to run that slow bro plus Venusaur combo, but it's entirely possible it could be Snorlax as well. I'm interested to see this, but the comp from the originals, this is a scary comp, Ajax.
Exactly. So it looks like we see a switch up here. Instead of the slow bro at bot, we're going to be seeing most likely it's probably going to be Eldegoss running with Z-Fly, and then Skiff is going to be running with Thwack. That's my guess here, because that gives a lot of CC, a lot of bullying, and a lot of potential to just really push people back early on with that competitive core that we're seeing down there. But with the Greninja there's a high potential chance that you could see him just show up at any given moment and just snipe a couple kills from the jungle because of the fact that there's so much CC on deck.
Yeah, gank potential in the jungle is going to be absolutely huge for this comp, but I do like that TK is running bot lane. So I was right in my original assumption that he's going to be running it with iGreg, the slow bro, down bottom. But early engagement from Thwack, they're just going to decide to back off and go back. They don't really want to try and take that early on. They are fighting for the Audino, actually, interestingly. Not something that you see too often, but just a quick disengage, not too much damage done to anyone other than TK, and not much to him.
So the way that the meta has kind of shifted now, usually you'll be seeing a lot of teams, depending on the cores, they will push to snag someone's farm very quickly. So now we're seeing a lot more people contest not only the top Audino, but depending on the comp, you see the Snorlax at bottom. You could see Skiff potentially trying to move up on someone like TK right there to try and snag him out. But you already see that you see that Pats there is hanging out in the grass waiting. They're trying to bait Thwack and Skiff forward, and if they could jump them properly, they can net a lot of damage here.
Yeah, it's definitely a potential for a big punish should they overextend. But at least right now, it's Zoo that's taking a lot of punishment. TK and iGreg are going to back off before too much has been done, and that's going to be Zoo actually heading right back to base to replenish their HP a little bit and go for another jungle clear, realizing that they might need a little bit more firepower if they're going to go up against someone as strong as TK.
Yeah, right now you can see, one of the things that Zoo is going to be doing pretty often here is he's going to be speed running himself to try to get to Greninja for the first Dreadnought fight. So he's going to be making sure he's on rotations. A big part of it is just don't lose hard in the lane fights. You want to make sure that you get him to possibly level 9. He's already got Surfs, so that's going to be some potential Surf resets that can net a whole lot of damage. As you see, it seems like he might be moving his way top here to contest for some Bs. He's already level 7 compared to the level 5, and actually that's a pretty chunk Ninetales too. So with Tito stepping off, there you go. He's going to try and poke him back, and they're most likely going to fight for Bs here before the rotation down the Dreadnought.
Yeah, they want to get those Bs. They want to get those extra levels in before they have to try and contest Dreadnought at bot lane. But at least right now, Skiff's team, TK's team has been very, very careful about how they're playing both lanes. Neither one of them has overextended too far. Neither one of them has gotten in more than they can chew, especially with Zoo being as buffed up as he is. We saw the other jungler, the Cinderace, was only at level 6. He's completely outpaced them. And here's an opportunity to outpace them some more because he's just wiping the Bs. Huge. He's been left to his own devices, Ajax.
This is already huge. This is exactly how this works. So what he's going to do is he's going to immediately rotate down to his jungle. He's going to tell them, I need you guys to just block this for a second, keep them going, and then once he gets to level 9, he now has access to his ult. So if he keeps them out, they're gonna win that team fight to get Dreadnought very easily. So even though you see him not necessarily there just yet, he's gonna have both buffs up. You see them kind of scrapping down there. Potentially there could be a Dreadnought engagement already started, but now level 9 is on deck. He's gonna have both buffs. If he can get there quick enough, he can easily team clear them.
We're going to take a peek down to it, too, and it looks like Dreadnought hasn't been scratched up too much. They are all right in the same area, but it's all going to be up. The ulti is going to be popped. He's going after them. We'll see if he can get this team clear, but no, really good CC coming out from Annabelle, going to block Zoo off, forcing him to retreat back into the zone. Yeah, he's going to have to come back in, but that's an ult burnt, Ajax.
That was excellently played. Now, granted, they're getting chunked now. He's got the Surf reset, so that's Pat going down, that's Annabelle going down, and that is 3 people dead. And now, even though you can see that there's 2 people still around, you can't jump in on this. Z-Fly is coming back down as well. They're going to chunk Dreadnought. This is a free Dreadnought kill, and that's exactly why Zoo didn't go down originally, to try and go get there to get to the Dreadnought. Because of that, now they have massive level advantage here last.
Yeah, really, really well played from the side of the originals, and they're going to be able to score their first goal and a little bit more here. TK trying to retake control of this. A really nice solar beam is going to hurt them quite a bit, but the heals just come right out, and they're almost all back to full. Zoo going to be able to just retreat back towards the top. And look at this. He's outpaced everyone else here by 3 levels.
Tito wants
Get out of there.
Yeah, he's at level 11. You do not win that fight anytime. He's going to get a free like cleanup on his A-bomb. Now, because they're at rotations for Rotom here, it is going to be if that ult connected and Pats was able to keep the pressure on, he would have been able to possibly clean up Zoo. But now Zoo's going to be forced to go get some citrus berries. As you can see, everybody's still scrapping in the middle there. Pats is moving forward, but you got to be careful overextending there with Cinderacer. Super squishy, and then Tito misses the heavy slam, and that is a very big kill because that is their only level 10 they got in this team fight. And now Zoo and them can continue to just push them back. As you can see, it looks like TK is probably trying to snipe this Rotom away.
They just lost one of their biggest sources of DPS in that fight, but right now the Snorlax was at least doing a pretty good job of keeping them boxed out. Now he is no more, so they're still going to be fighting for Rotom. TK trying with the Solar Beam to get the snipe, but is going to be forced out of position yet again. And the dash in from Zoo. Going to be another kill. Can he get another? He's so buff. Ajax, he's so buffed up. He is finally going to go down, but the damage has been dealt. They've lost almost their entire team down on just the Snorlax, and yeah, the scores come through. They wipe out another goal zone, and this is very quickly running away from TK's team.
And you can see Z-Fly has also stolen the buffs off their jungler in that fight as well, so that is not only, you got the Greninja who's level 12 here. He doesn't even need to go for buffs. He's already so high. They have rotated, they've gotten position for Dreadnought, and now they can just clean up these bees really quick. In this team fight, it's going to be very crucial for TK's team that we need a good position, which was an attempt right there. You saw that Tito went in for the heavy slam to try and get the block and push them back, but it was immediately answered by Skiff. However, TK coming in with a pretty solid damage from that Solar Beam that allowed Pats to clean that up, and now they're actually pushing the originals back, and we're seeing a pretty good spot here for TK's team.
A really good use of that Solar Beam. It gets rid of Zoo, gets rid of that big damage jungler, and once the jungler's gone, same thing that happened with the Cinderace earlier in top lane. They lose one of their biggest sources of DPS, and they're just forced to back off of the fight a little bit. Now all of them concentrated inside the goal zone, a lot lower health than they'd like to be.
Yeah.
This is actually an opportunity for them to kind of get themselves positioned, to get themselves set up, and TK picks up another kill, gets rid of the Alolan Ninetales, but it's very quickly fired back
this is
by
huge.
Lucario. This is
bad for
huge.
TK's team. That is a whole 5. That's 5 people going down. Tito is getting, no, never mind, Tito got away, but that is 4 people dying between Z-Fly and Greninja. The problem there was you had a team comp difference. You had Eldegoss who could heal, and you had no point at the bottom that could possibly get the citrus berries. They could not win that fight due to how low their level of their health was. So even though they were able to push the originals back, they didn't have enough resources to save them. But last, we bring it up every time, we are 30 seconds away from the true fight of the game.
Zapdos is going to decide everything, but I do want to point out how well the originals minus Zoo played that after Zoo had died, because instead of overextending, instead of trying to take the fight, instead of getting greedy, they all just played inside of their own goal zone where they had the shields, where they had the extra HP, etc., and they were able to just wait for Zoo to come crashing back in from the respawn, and then they just wiped them out. Now it's looking like a second situation to be wiped out as Run the Set comes back in, tries to get the heavy slam, instead resorts to block, tries to back off, but there's just so much damage coming his way, he's got to retreat.
Body barrier coming in clutch for Thwack to keep him in the fight. He's gonna back now, get out of there, and you can see also Z-Fly was able to get out without getting hit in the exchange. Zoo just kind of hanging around, making sure that they don't try to cap here on Rotom while it's in double points. Ooh. But Zoo also needs to get out of this situation very quickly because, yeah, there you go, he's gonna get the 2 citrus berries. This is now a fight for Zap. This is the only way that you see the team on TK's side win, outside of capping top and bottom with some very big drops. And you can see TK switched over. That's already a quick snipe on to Thwack there. The ult has been dropped by Skiff. He's going to get himself out of that exchange. TK is getting chased. So you can already see as well, that is the Ninetales down. Pats is putting some pressure on, but this is a very crucial team fight that TK's team needs to win. They have 2 people down already, but they cannot really, they really can't push for Zap right now. And as the clock starts ticking, that's going to be huge.
Look at how much they're getting harassed by this enemy Snorlax, too. It's so hard for them to get in. And again, now that Zoo comes back, they start losing people again. They lose 2 just to Zoo. Now Skiff comes chasing after TK. 56 seconds left. I don't even know if they're going to be able to get Zapdos, let alone get...
deep. He overextended because, I mean, I get it. You try to put the pressure on, but he went so deep for that. And after the bone rush missing, he doesn't have the opportunity to get the kill. However, this is now Annabelle very chunked. This is Igre coming in. They're engaging Zap. They only have 30 seconds. They have 2 people down. Skip and Lucario are both down. You can already see Zoo is trying to creep his way in. They're trying to keep him out. Can they get the kill onto Zoo to prevent him? They did. Now they have Zoo gone. This looks like it's going to be TK's team getting the kill. Can they get enough points within this last 20 seconds to take the game back? It was played so well by the Originals, but they lost 1 to 2 team fights. That's 1 point gone. That's 2 points gone. It looks like the rest are going to be gone, and that is going to be TK's team coming back within the last 30 seconds to win on the most ridiculous win condition we have in the game right now, last.
Can I get a whole bunch of thank you Zapdos in the chat for TK's team? They played not only that team fight to perfection, and oh my goodness, look at that point differential. I hope they show us the graph after this, because Zapdos just diffed them. But we got to give a lot of credit, rather. They only scored off Zapdos. That's it. Yeah. That's all they scored off of.
I mean, you know what? It's still a W in the win column. And honestly, I think, the Originals had a solid job. They were keeping them out. But one accidental overextension from Z-Fly. He was trying to close out the kill, and then he didn't realize that the Ninetales was in the grass. Because of the wild grass, if he knew that he was there, Z-Fly never moves forward. Z-Fly always holds that position. But because he tried to catch TK by himself, he accidentally got killed. Skiff tried to go in and save him, and Skiff had a lot of really good heavy slams and blocks that game. But finally, at the very end, where it mattered the most, he was able to get caught. Because even though he was winning in the 1v1s when it came to Tito every other time, Tito finally sniped him, and that ended up leading to the game.
Yeah, and it was just, again, so well played, and it's another example that we can throw right underneath the column of Zapdos is busted, because they lost. They were getting destroyed. They lost both Dreadnought fights. They lost both Rotom fights. They were getting absolutely mopped in the lanes thanks to Zoo in the jungle. And then they just won one critical team fight at the very end of the game. They managed to take Zap away thanks to, like you mentioned, an overextension from Z-Fly. And as soon as Zap fell, so did the team. Everything went to hell.
Yeah, and like I said, I understand why Z-Fly went for that. That was just a very unfortunate positioning because, in the 1v1, Venusaur's losing to Lucario every single time. But because of the fact that he got caught by the CC, you got hit by the Solar Beam. Mind you, also, that Solar Beam that TK had before everybody came in, when all 4 of them were funneled up going through the wild grass, and he caught like 4, that chunked them for like a quarter health at minimum on every single target. So that made that last team fight there very, very doable. And that's just the thing with this game. Like, you may think that you're done, but that last 2 minutes, if you have time within 30 seconds to cap, you could just win the game.
Yeah, it's not over till it's over, and I got to give a lot of credit to TK. We were a little bit suspicious of him being outside of the jungle because we've seen him being very, very confident in the jungle, especially recently. But TK in the bottom lane, TK in the top, he's a menace, especially with how well he was placing those solar beams. Very, very well played from them. But we do got to remember, it still came off of a mistake. It was a forced mistake, yes, but if Z-Fly hadn't have overextended, we wouldn't have seen them winning that team fight. So it's still a very
would have went at minimum, right? Because I think I think that it was a scramble. So not necessarily that they would have lost there, but because you removed the Lucario from the picture and you already saw that the Greninja was kind of chunked, it makes it a lot easier to push pressure back. But we're going to be seeing, excuse me, a switch up here, and we're going to be actually seeing an exchange from the Cinderace that was in the jungle. We're now going to be seeing what we put respect on Zard in this house. We are going to see TK's Charizard, which, as you remember from last week, had an incredible game. Unfortunately, they lost it to the Cinderace Steel, but this Zard put in a tremendous amount of work, and we're going to be seeing the swap off instead from Annabelle to the Greninja in top lane.
Listen, bro, I've always been a Zard believer since day number 1, even back when he sucked. I still like to pick Zard from time to time in my games, and I'm very glad to see my man's getting a lot of love in the current comp meta. TK going on Zard, certainly a huge threat. No change up in the originals comp, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I think that's like, again, it just came down to one critical mistake at the very end of the last game. So it's very, very fixable for the originals. They don't 100%. Need to make any major changes. They just need to play a little bit more carefully.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, just like throughout the entire match there, you saw how well Zoo ended that game with 14 kills. Like he was properly the jungle carry that they needed. He was the assassin every single time that they needed him to come through, and they're going to keep that same composure going through. I think the switch up from TK here is going to be establishing that he wants to go ahead and probably run to level 9 as well for that Dreadnought fight, because in the 1v1 with ults, Charizard actually beats out Greninja because of the fact he's on the move. He doesn't get hit by those surf resets. He stays away, and his massive amount of damage plus that seismic toss completely stuns and shuts down Greninja. And it's also really good against Ninetales late game, which back was kind of an issue for them for a majority of the time.
Yeah, I think Charizard might have one of the strongest ultis in terms of team fights in the whole game because, like you mentioned, you can't hit him. He's so difficult to pin down, so difficult to stop from doing his thing. So once Charizard really gets going, if you get level diffed by a Charizard, you're kind of screwed when it comes to team fights. But as we see, Zoo is keeping pace right now.
Did you see on Zoo's camera there how there was a Jigglypuff and a Froakie just doing a little dance in the center of the stage?
Yeah, they're just going around in circles.
All right, here we go. The first fight for Bees is up, and we're going to see a battle already. But TK out of position. He has to flash out of there 100%. He got caught by Z-Fly, and because of that one notice from Z-Fly, it's going to allow them to put some pressure on. Probably went out on Bees. I do like Tito's commitment to try and snag a few while he was still there. And I think Annabelle might have won a few too. So even though it looked like the originals went out there, I'm pretty sure those Bees would eat.
Yeah, but I love what Z-Fly did right there, because it looked like it was going to be a scrap between junglers, and usually a lot of the time the laners would just focus on each other. But Z-Fly just on the spur of the moment flashed in there and did a whole lot of damage to TK and immediately forced TK to remove himself from the equation. Said no more jungler in this fight, it's a 3-on-2, and that forced the laners to retreat as well. So It was just a quick and easy solution to the team fight that was going on, kind of ending it before it even began. Now both junglers resetting to do another jungle clear. We're going to see which one of them can get to 9 first and which one of them can decide this Dreadnought fight first.
And you know what, that's so crucial too, because if you're meant to be the carry, if you're meant to be the damage dealer, and you're constantly feeding, you're constantly not disengaging from the fights when you need to, you're going to get level diffed, and that's really bad when it comes to those lane controls, because then all of a sudden you're playing from behind. Granted, we did see you can win from behind, but you do not want this first Dreadnought fight in 25 seconds to be that far off. Now we're only seeing level 7 here from TK. He could possibly get to level 8 and get a little bit more damage.
He's gonna go for Bees.
Yeah, actually, I don't disagree with this at all. Fight for these Bees, force Skiff and Thwack out of there. They do have Heavy Slam, and also Z-Fly is already in position, so it looks like there's not going to be a major fight yet, but we're going to be seeing one pretty soon. As you can see, that Zoo stayed up top, so they're going for the same exact strategy as last time.
But look, they're all coming crashing in. Dreadnought is here, and it's Thwack with a really good CC to force TK back. He's out of the team fight early. He's going to be able to re-engage in just a second, but those few seconds of time that Thwack keeps buying over and over are critical. Thwack does it again, forces TK back, and look at this. They've got the entirety of the TK squad just boxed by their own goal zone. They've taken so much control of this area, and they're fighting to take it back, but they've got Dreadnought on the palm of their hands right now.
Yeah, and you also see that you always got to worry about the ever-looming threat that is Skiff over there with that Heavy Slam. He's hanging out. He's trying to find a snipe. Level 9 is on deck for Zoo, which means an ult is coming pretty soon. As we're seeing, there it is. That's already the Greninja down. Zoo pushing pressure on him.
Look at Z-Fly.
They're pushing them away. They're getting the Citrus Berries pop. But here comes the Heavy Slam. Zoo, they're going to turn on this right now, as they got 3 people already working on Dreadnought. It's going to be very hard for them to come in and get the steal, and they cannot because of the pressure established by Z-Fly and Zoo in that fight. Excuse me, Z-Fly and Skiff in that fight, pushing them back, and that was an excellently executed fight there on Dreadnought.
Like, how smart was that from Skiff and Z-Fly there to just kind of say, hey, I got a big body, and you can't get past me. My teammates are going to kill Dread, and there's nothing you can do to try and snipe it. Such a beautiful play. Now they're going top, clearing Bees. This is some more damage for the side of the originals.
About to get to level 11 as well.
There's no way they force this into another situation where TK squad has to rely on Zapdos again, right? Slow bro iGreg does manage to get the pick up there.
Oh, can TK come in and get a couple clears here? All right, ult's gonna get popped.
Looking like
He's gonna try and hunt down Zoo, but yeah, he was a little bit away from Zoo, and so unfortunately he couldn't get him. But if I am TK's team 100%, you needed to try and start up Rotom potentially there, but because of the fact that TK couldn't really get anything going, they had to back off. They went for the heals instead. Rotom is probably going to be up for a good while here. And no, actually, instead, it's going to be the Originals deciding just to run up on it. So Rotom could possibly get stolen if we don't get a good block, which is what we're going to see from Skiff. He's getting everybody out of there. And is that going to be... No, actually, there's still a good amount of health left on Rotom there. Never mind. Hold up.
Look at this. They take the opportunity while everyone from the TK squad... Did he snipe that? No, okay, TK got it.
Perfect
TK got it. Really good.
Like that was a luck of the draw because Surf just went off. However, there was a big ult from Ninetales on top of the point.
No way.
That is a lot of damage down. However, it was a trade-off, so it was a 1-for-1 in that situation. But you know, it looks like they're gonna be able to clear out quite a few more here, and they're gonna probably take out Rotom before he even gets it. Actually, never mind. They did clean out.
No, so Rotom hit the goal. They lost the goal zone. But it was still a team wipe for the side of the Originals. Right now, there are going to be behind in terms of points because the TK squad did manage to clear out that goal zone thanks to the Rotom during the team fight. They managed, to get those goals scored during the course of the team fight. But now they're going for Dreadnought again. Zeus already in here, level 12. He's completely outpaced everyone, so he's going to be dashing in. Look at this ulti.
He catches TK off guard. That is the flash pop, and that is Tito running out of there too, so that is another tank basically gone. They're going to go ahead and continue to try and seal up the deal here on TK, who's already dead, and that is a huge person out of the fight because now they level diff everyone else. You see Tito coming in to try and get the sleep. He does get the KO. That is another jump in. However, the surf resets are still going off. That is 2 people down. TK is going to be on his way back in, but because of the fact that iGreg is stuck as well, there is 2 more people down, and now we're going to also see that iGreg has got to back off. They needed to start Dread, but unfortunately, everybody was so low on health that Dread actually still hasn't even been engaged here.
Almost went for the ace there, too, from Zoo, but really well played from iGreg just to kind of kite them for a couple of seconds. Now, they're going to be poking at Dread a little bit, but with TK's team entirely back to full health, I don't think they're going to go for this. And despite how the team fights are showing you, and despite what the levels are showing you, TK's team is in the lead here. They are winning right now. So as long as they can continue to keep the pressure up, they're in a good position now. It's just Zoo and Z-Fly fighting at bot lane versus the, entirety. Oh, no, Skiff is here too. Never mind. I
this is actually really good that this has been drawn out for so long because we did see that, TK's team didn't win that Dreadnought fight originally, but they have basically caught up in levels in the farm. They were able to catch up throughout this match. So things are back to even, and they have prevented the Originals from capping Dread with 20 seconds left. Now you're going to see TK start to look for a little bit more levels here. The only thing that could pretty much happen is if the Originals decide to shred Dreadnought, but instead, I don't think you can with 10 seconds left here. You start positioning immediately for Zapdos.
Yeah, no, they've got to get themselves up towards the middle of the map to try and either A, cap Zapdos themselves in the team fight, or stop TK squad from capping Zapdos. And as Zapdos makes his appearance on the map at the 2-minute mark, here comes the big team fight. We see Zoo and the rest of his squad positioning themselves here. And I think one critical thing that we've been focusing in on is how much higher level than everyone else Zoo is. But TK squad is still managing to shut him down pretty effectively. They use the crowd control there to put him to sleep. Zapdos is still being untouched.
Interesting what's going on here. We can see that everybody started to maneuver down towards the tower, which allows them to come in for a jump. And we're going to see an ult popped from TK. He's going to try and get some clears, but now we're going to see the ult in response from Zoo. This is very, very important because this could be TK's team losing the game. Right here, that is 3 people already dead. That is Pat trying to back off. If I am Zoo's team, I am disengaging from this right now and capping. Yes, you put the cap on the board. That is 2 double points. And now you cap this point here, and you immediately run back to Zapdos, because if you could cap again, or you could cap top, that is now all of a sudden you in the lead, because that is a 50 bomb that it looks like Zoo is going to go and try and put down on the top point there.
Zoo is absolutely going to be uncontested, dropping this 50 bomb. I don't think anyone's going to be able to get to him in time. The Wigglytuff is rushing his way, but no, he gets it down.
And now the Originals have the lead, and Patch just missed it by like a second. And now all of a sudden we need them to cap bottom, which is what they're looking for. I don't think we see a fight for Zapdos here. I think we see a fight for bot, because once bot is won, that's pretty much the game. As they jump Zoo, that is 3 people, that is the CC on Zoo, but he gets out of there because of Thwack's immediate answer. That could save them them the game if they could keep Zoo from dying. But that is Zoo dead. Now Thwack is getting hit as well. Now you can see TK coming in as well.
Look at this.
That's 3 people dead. I don't know why they're capping Zapdos here.
Because they already capped bot. Eject. They already did.
Okay, never mind. That's it. That's going to be TK's team closing it out here in this, with this 9 seconds left. It doesn't even matter. This is a flex kill.
Victory zap.
That is a flex kill 100% on Zapdos, and they got the CC on over there on Z-Fly, who basically got caught by the Vader choke. Look how close that game was there in game number 2 last.
Yeah, and I need to take a moment, Ajax. I started to talk about it a little bit when we had a lull in between the team fights, but I need to talk about how Zoo plays the jungle, because he's getting so far ahead of everyone else. But then when Zoo comes in for the big team fights, TK squad specifically, I want to talk about iGreg. iGreg did such a good job with crowd control, especially that telekinesis, to be able to prevent Zoo from popping off in the way that he wanted to. A lot of the time when Zoo was coming in, he got stopped out by either Surf or telekinesis. Look right here, Zoo's coming after him. But iGreg manages to disengage, and they don't get what they want out of these team fights. Despite Zoo being a higher level, they still lose out on them, and that is something that you can't say a lot of the time for a lot of teams. And usually, when a team gets level diffed, it's over for them, but not this squad.
Yeah, you can see even right here, right? They lost this team fight and they were able to get the cap. But one of the things that matters the most is, I mean, these Surfs were really good in keeping them from capping even earlier, which actually is pretty crucial. But one of the things that matters the most in a setting like a best of 5 is making the adjustments. Here we see massive damage. They recognized, and Zoo decided to re-engage as well after 3 people were directly on him. That was kind of crazy. But you immediately recognize the threat. Zoo was able to capitalize heavy on the plays from those level 9s, but he had 14 kills in that first game. This one was 10, but with a lot more CC. Recognize the threat, take out the threat, and you win more team fights, just like you were talking about.
Yeah, so just absolutely fantastic team play, because again, you were talking about it. Zoo had so many kills on the board, scored a lot of points too in the process, but when it's just Zoo as your main source of DPS, eventually, if your enemy team recognizes that, realizes that, hey, Zoo is the threat, we need to CC Zoo and we need to kill Zoo. Once they do that, they win the team fights and they win the game. That's the second game going down for the TK squad.
Well, I gotta also point out too, besides Zoo, we unfortunately don't get to see everybody's feed because we don't have the spectate mode, but Z-Fly also heavy target for bullying early and damage, and he has done really good early on. But because of that CC as well, I noticed in a couple of those scrambles afterwards when we noticed Z-Fly in the fight, a lot of times, especially at the end when you saw Z-Fly trying to maybe snag that Zapdos, CC again. The CC wars have been going in favor of TK in the late game, whereas the originals are winning in the early game. And if they cannot clean up the late game, they're not going to be able to come back in the set.
If you look at their comp too, Ajax, you know for a fact that they are playing for that CC. They got the Wigglytuff, they got the Slowbro, and they got the Alolan Ninetales. So they're basically the I don't want you playing the game comp. And it's working really, really well, but still, no change up in the composition from the side of the originals. They're not going to make any changes because, I mean, they've all been very close games. I'm interested in the fact that they're running full eject buttons.
I mean, Flash is the way to go. Like you want an ability to disengage from any fight when you're getting jumped at any time. It's the same with other MOBAs. You know, if like eject button here, but Flash in there. You want to be able to get in, get out, and go. And we're seeing we're seeing a whole flex from TK. TK is running the course with all of his characters. Machamp being one of my favorites, not only from TK's character pool, but from just characters I love to see in this game. We're still going to see Tito on the Wigglytuff and iGreg on the Slowbro. That is their 2 tanks, quote-unquote, because Wigglytuff has an immense amount of health now, the same as Snorlax. And I really like Pats on the Alolan Whip from the last, the Alolan Ninetales from the last game. Alolan Whip. We'll see Incineroar in here.
We're playing Incin, baby.
Look, man, we got 2 Incineroars that come to this house for the weekly every single week. That move's stuck in my head. But I really like the change-ups from TK's team, too. Because even though we're seeing consistency from the originals early, TK's team switching things up a bit does kind of help them in terms of making sure that the originals never know what their plan truly is.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting how they're playing this. I think we'll have to wait and see. I really wonder if any of these guys are going to switch up anything, like, because they just been playing these games the same way. But in the second one, the way that TK's squad again realized who the threat was, realized how to manage the threat, they did such a good job there. So I wonder if Zoo and Co are going to swap it up at all, or if they're just going to try for the same old and hope it works this time.
I think the main key is late game. You know, we've seen they did not get the second dread in the last game, but they still have been winning in terms of overall early game and scraps. But because of the fact that they were out of position, they didn't have the lineups, they didn't have the ability to pick somebody off the way that Skiff did that first game with those heavy slams, it cost them in the second game. And as you see that ever-looming threat of a submission, there is always the chance that man is going to put his hands up and come and snatch you real quick. So you got to make sure. Speaking of which, here he comes! He catches Zoo. He catches Skiff, who Skiff has just got chunked for half his health. However, they did get a lot of the bees in that exchange. But when you see, look, when you see Machoke hanging out in the grass, you see Machamp ready with that submission, just go ahead and retreat because Object Button will still get snatched up.
Yeah, I mean, Skiff is going to lose half of his health, but it's very, very quickly regained. And all that's really going to come of it is that we're just going to reset a little bit. No points were capped. No, it's not time for bees yet. Like, it's nothing really came of that.
Yeah, it's all about just like trying to win out on the early game farm. You want to make sure that not only is Zoo fed, not only is TK fed, you want to make sure that your laners are fed, because that's how you make sure that you have Skiff at Heavy Slam for Dreadnought. That is very important. And you want to make sure that Black has enough damage to go along with his Dazzling Gleam, or if he decides to go the ice route of Avalanche and such, you need to make sure that he's getting enough to push people away and scare them. As we see, TK has gone for the
close combat, yeah.
Yeah, it's buffed, it's very strong, and it's very good for sealing out kills off of something like this. He
Thwack
catches him with the submission. There is nothing Black could do other than go down right there. That was an excellent submission coming in from TK. Let's see if we get a response from Zoo Squad.
Yeah, that's just a go to sleep. You ain't doing nothing. He got caught out all on his lonesome by TK running in with the submission, popped close combat right after. Like, Black was just dead. There's no saving that. But Zoo's actually alone here top lane with the bees, so this is going to be some free bees for him.
That was very comical, the way that Zoo was hiding out in the grass, just like, no, day 10, nobody knows that I'm here. And now Zoo's going to get himself to level 9 once again. As anybody who's been confused as to how he consistently gets to level 9 by first Dreadnought fight, take them notes. This is exactly how he does it.
It's 100% the bees, because Zoo is so good at making sure that he's always in position to cap bees, virtually unchallenged. Now, going for the second jungle clear, going to be able to get it pretty quickly. Dreadnought is up, though, so the fight's beginning, and Zoo might be a little late to the party again. He's got to make sure that he gets in on time.
Well, actually, this worked out, because you can see TK's waiting for, he's just waiting for a submission, which he might catch right now. Z-Fly decided to go try and challenge him. That was not it, my friend. You do not go straight up there. But you see Zoo has made his way to the fight, and that backed off the entirety of TK's team. They recognize that ult is up. Do not try to fight it. However, Tito gets caught slipping off the side of the stage. That is, even if he got away from that there, Heavy Slam would have caught him. And now they have a whole tank down. TK is chunked. Everybody's chunked over there. There's no citrus berries, so they have to wait for they have to wait for the passive healing to come in. But Exia has the heals for his team, and the Aurora Veil here from Flack. That's gonna reduce the damage.
This is a dread
it's gonna be on them. Are they gonna get the steal? No, they get the closeout, because you got Power Punch and the Surf, and they catch TK, and now they're gonna close up Pats. That's a free bottom cap coming in for the originals.
Yeah, they're just gonna have to work their way out of here. Even Z-Fly chasing in enemy territory. I don't know how smart that is, but the rollout is going to force him back out of position, and they're just dunking on this goal zone. They're going to get so many points out of that exchange. Now they've picked themselves up a pretty big lead. They're going to disengage, head towards top. They're absolutely going to try for Rotom here while they have the advantage in both levels and team comp.
I really like, now we can't see it again because of spectate mode, but you see what Z-Fly's doing? They had him stay down there this time. He farmed bees, he got free points, and now he's gonna go drop some points on that bottom one, which is gonna make it significantly easier to break. And because of everybody up top here, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, they got nobody to challenge that. And now it's going to be Z-Fly consistently getting free farm. You just consistently put pressure there with the existence of Skiff in the grass and block, and Exia, who can get the heal. And now he's just continuing. He might steal their jungle as well, but good job catching him with the submission.
Yeah, Thak has made a little bit of a habit of being caught out in the middle of nowhere by TK submissions. Now Skiff gets caught by telekinesis into the close combat as well. Ain't nobody surviving that no matter your health pool, and this should be a Rotom cap for the side of TK Breezy's squad, and they are indeed going to grab it now in the 5-on-3 while they wait for reinforcements. Look at that, though.
Look, okay, so
Z-Fly still down bot.
I don't know if they communicated this or not, but you saw Z-Fly come off of the camera there. It looks like Z-Fly is coming in. Yes, he is. Yeah, they communicated. That was very smart.
Oh, he missed.
But he missed him on the stop, and that is level 10 Z-Fly because of this free farming he got on bottom. So this is actually the jungler on TK's side being himself at level 10, and they have not only Greninja at high level, but now Z-Fly is also at a high level. So those team fights might be way worse for TK's team now in the late game.
Yeah, they've given up a little bit of early control in exchange for a much stronger late game, which isn't the worst strat in the world. Now Dreadnought, he's up again. We got a minute 45 till the real game starts as well. This team fight here is going to be so absolutely important. Early engagement coming in from the Wigglytuff. Not going to find anything, though. They just back off, and here comes Zoo, Ajax.
Yeah, you see Zoo's coming in with that ult, and he's going to catch him, but TK's going to come around the other side as well. That full heal was popped, but he's in the middle of everyone, and he's going to get killed for it. They almost had perfect coordination because he was trying to line up with Annabelle so they can get the ult come in from the Cinderace to get a lot of kills. That was almost perfectly executed there from TK. However, because of the fact that Zoo caught them slipping in that funneled grass spot, they just ended up losing. If that was just a second sooner, if they could have just beaten Zoo to the punch, TK's team would have had that fight.
It's an unfortunate situation for them to find themselves in, but now it's another big advantage. See what they do with it, though. They are just kind of backing off a little bit, positioning themselves towards Zap. It might be a little bit early for Zap positioning, though. We still got 40 seconds. Right now.
Farm the jungle. Yeah, TK's going to hold on to ult here. You don't waste ult pre the jungle fight. They're probably going to go try and grab bees, maybe put some points on top here. They're trying to actually, look, never mind. It looks like with the 30 seconds left, they're going to make an attempt here, not only at farming, but possibly getting Rotom to try and establish some pressure. But if I am Team Originals, you have 1 point cap lead at least here. If they're going to try and fight you in this position, you try to win. Otherwise, then you start dipping the Zapdos. But look at it again. Z-Fly down there looming, catching a bunch of points, getting free farm, and he's going to be able to drop a double point drop here in 5 seconds, which is going to give him a massive lead. But that is immediately answered by Pats. He backed off, and he now is chasing Z-Fly, and now we have what could be the end of the set if the Originals do not get away. So a smokescreen came in clutch and got Zoo out of there. If Zoo got caught by that, that was probably game.
Oh, but here comes TK with a huge close combat. Gets so much damage in. Now the submission onto Z-Fly, but he is going to be able to survive, forcing TK back. This is a bad situation for them to be in. They've been completely stuffed out in the team fight by Zapdos. They've given up all control. They didn't die, though, which means it's good for them, because if they had died, it was a guaranteed Zapdos cap. Now they can come back in and fight for it again. And the Originals, at least for now, are still in the lead, so they've just got to stall Ajax.
Yeah, they're funneling heavily in center right there, and a big part of this game might go to the clutch play from Aurora Veil from Black and the heal from Exia, because Zoo is going to die. Actually, Z-Fly was going to die, excuse me. And now they're funneling heavy. You see that TK is exchanged to go up top. Black just loves going into the ever-loving brace of TK's hands, and then he dies there too. But they're all on the grass. You got to be careful with exchanging in this fight. Now, iGreg is going to go in to try and catch a telekinesis, possibly on Zoo, but Zoo decided to go upwards to get out of there. However, look at this. The Originals are once again getting boxed out last. This could be crucial. If Skiff doesn't get away, that is flash popped. He pops up the block here, but he pretty much can't get out of there. That's 2 people down. I don't know if they're going to be able to get away from this soon enough before they can start capping points.
35 seconds left. They don't have a ton of time, so TK actually is just going to divert himself completely, but he's stopped from the cap. In comes Z-Fly. He's got to use submission to get out of there. TK needs to run away with his tail between his legs, and look up top. Zoo is just wiping out the remains of the TK squad. Everyone except TK and the Alola Ninetales are dead. This is This is curtains, Ajax.
This is 100 points coming in from Zoo, so even though TK got the points on, it is Zoo coming in with the final score to make sure that that didn't matter. And we are not done just yet, ladies and gentlemen. We are currently in a 2-1 game.
Game number 4 coming in. fantastically played by the side of the originals, especially in that team fight by Zapdos at the very end. I loved how they did that. I actually want to see the scoreboard. Yeah, so Zoo going 8-2 yet again. Zoo just seems to be the kill master while everyone else just like sets him up for the alley-oops, but it worked to perfection this time, so no way to complain.
I always got to point out whenever we see the scoreboards, right? Sometimes the best plays don't show up in the details on the stat line because we got to go back and talk about the other players in this set.
Absolutely.
On the originals, Zoo was able to establish the damage, but we didn't see double-digit kills this time. Did that matter, though? Not as much because you saw Z-Fly coming in with that power-up punch to stop the clutch point drop from TK and also prevent him from fighting back because he was in the middle of trying to score. And then you also saw in that fight that happened before where Z-Fly would have died and they would have lost that exchange. Exia came in with the heal and the Aurora Veil from Black that pushed them out. If they did not get out, and that smoke screen as well, that timing couldn't have been better because most people just get scooped by that there. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. This heal comes in post that. Oh, never mind. We don't get to see it. But the ult goes off and then they heal and the Aurora Veil comes in. And they, yeah, I appreciate Toast running it back. But there was a very big team fight in the center that would have definitely cost them the game if we could see if it does come up here in this situation. The ult pops off. This could have been many kills. But after this, what do we see? The heal comes in, and we see the Aurora Veil that reduces the damage. They get an Aurora Veil, and now TK's team has got to leave. And the ult from Skiff. If none of that happens, the game is over.
No, that was just such good team synergy and really good communication between the side of the originals to be able to call it like, okay, we use this ability here, this ability here, this ability here. And it all just came together, especially look at this Z-Fly recognizing what TK Breezy was going for and just coming down and saying, no, no, no. This is our zone. You cannot cap it. You cannot score any points. You cannot pass go. You cannot collect $200 because you're about to die. And just such fantastic play from the originals to keep this set going.
I'm actually glad you pointed out Z-Fly once again because I almost forgot because we can't see him, but we did recognize it on the map. Z-Fly pushed that pressure on them. The bottom lane control. It allowed him to farm bees, it allowed him to steal jungle, and it allowed him to cap points on bot. It forced Ninetales to go back to go try and chase him at the end, and it allowed them during that whole Rotom exchange to basically do what Crustles like to do and kind of just keep capping points. But if you're getting free score and you have enough control, especially after winning 2 Dread fights, you know that you have shields, you know that you have a higher level. You don't need to win Rotom there. You just need to prevent the other team from winning Rotom, and your 5th man is going to go ahead and cap.
And I think it's also interesting, the comp switch-ups, because everything else has been pretty much static from TK's team except for TK. And I actually do think it was a little bit of the Machamp not working with the rest of the comp. Because, yes, TK had submission to be able to run in. He had close combat to do a lot of damage. But what he was doing there is, of course, creating space, right? But the rest of the characters there, except maybe Greninja and maybe Snorlax, depending on how you're playing them, don't really have the ability to close in on that space created by Machamp. It was much better when TK was playing that big DPS like Charizard. It worked to perfection with this team comp. So I can see exactly why TK is going right back to the Charizard that worked so well in game number 2. And of course, it's been 3 games straight. No team comp change up from the originals.
Yeah, I think that this is a big reason why I drafted the originals team the way I did to play in this is because I knew that they were going to be consistent in the way that they executed their plays. And their team is probably going to stay the same way for the remainder of the set because of that. It's very much like a variation of what is the best team in the game right now. You could just kind of exchange, you can switch out Wigglytuff and Snorlax, or you can switch out the Eldegoss with someone, but the other points are the ones you really want. With TK though, I 100% agree with what you said. The Charizard allowed them to fight in a lot of matchups that are very struggle-based, which is something like the Ninetales, the Zard beats every time with ult. And the Greninja, it allowed him to put pressure onto Zoo and even Lucario at points when most other people can't beat them head-to-head.
Yeah, and I mean, Ajax, I remember talking to you when this game first came out. I was like, this game's only going to be fun until people figure out the meta. Then it's going to be, like, markedly unfun. And let me say, I've never been more happy to be wrong, because as the meta has progressed, this game has gotten more and more interesting, and there's more and more ways to play around said meta. We're seeing it here. 2 completely different team comps, 2 completely different play styles, clashing head-to-head in a best-of-5.
Yeah, and a big part of that has to do with win conditions, because if you're constantly fighting for Dreadnought, that can change a lot of stuff when it comes to the progression of how the fight goes. Considering it's only a 10-minute match, you're not farming out nearly as long as other MOBAs. But also, because of Pokemon, for one, everybody loves Pokemon. We're all going to keep playing because
Let's not bring up other MOBAs. We ain't cheating.
But, you know, like, everybody loves Pokemon, right? But also, you get to enjoy the fact that this game is going to have consistent content, and we're going to see the meta change based around people's favorites a lot by comparison to a lot of other games. I was very worried that this game, after the nerfs to a lot of the damage dealers, you were going to see something similar to, say, the GOAT format of Overwatch. We've talked about this before, where it was just heavy dive, all tanks, and that was it. You just never die. But it seems like with this game, we have the potential to see a lot of evolutions of strategies, even though a lot of the big issues are very heavy and very hard to kill. There's not a guaranteed win because of things like Dreadnought and Zapdos.
Yeah, and I mean, early on in the game, we saw Zeraora being almost a guaranteed pick for the jungle. He's almost completely...
He bodied people for not knowing the game, too as well. He was just an AoE machine. If you guys clumped up, he just ate.
I mean, Zeraora, and like, again, even though he's fallen out, so to speak, of favor of the current meta, he's still a very, very good, very, very usable character. And I think with the recent buffs, everyone is a usable character, but Ajax were 20 seconds off of the Dreadnought pop. And we see Zoo playing the game that Zoo's been playing so long, getting bees.
I am so surprised. Look, you definitely want a position for Dread, but the fact that nobody, I guess it's just because Zoo just keeps winning in the 1v1s early game, but the fact that there's nobody ready to fight Zoo for those bees, at least one person, maybe keep Tito up there to sneak a heavy slam in and try and catch a KO and then flash out. You want to make sure that you don't allow Zoo to do this. He has ult once again. However, the originals are getting pushed back, but we have seen every time they get pushed back, Zoo comes in and cleans it up. TK's coming in to look for a couple KOs possibly, but instead he's going to back off. He recognizes, you know what? Danger is abound, and here it comes. The ult has been popped, and they already catch Tito and iGreg and possibly some more. Zoo is going to town, and that is very, very much a big issue because now they get to push them so far back to the point that they end up losing out on the team fight, and now they get to go ahead and just snag Dreadnought once again early here.
That's gonna hurt. We're not even 4 minutes into the game, and they've already wiped out a goal zone.
They better hurry up and back them off. Yeah, you can see both Skiff and Exia are going to peel. That's exactly how you do it. Skiff, that is the perfect. But if you are a Snorlax player and you don't allow your team to catch Dreadnought in that position, stop playing Snorlax. That is exactly how you need to do it. Skiff just put his presence out there. If a heavy slam could come, a block could come, and it stopped them from running in to steal Dreadnought.
It's such a fantastic setup there from them. And I think Skiff's been an unsung hero throughout this set so far. Just being the big blocky boy running out in front of the line of danger to make sure that the rest of his team can get just anything that they need, be it Rotom, be it Zapdos, be it Dreadnought.
Thank your healers, thank your tanks, folks. And also thank Z-Fly for once again just executing the same strategy. Because you see now, they're backing them off. You see that they're... Oh, that's a big hit! That is a big hit! Now they were able to catch Zeus slipping. And because of that, they are going to lose out on this team fight. That was an excellent ult coming in from Pat, and also TK getting a cleanup on Flack. TK has just been throwing hands with Flack the entire night. I don't know what Flack did to him in the past, but TK has had it out for him the whole night, and that is a free cap up top. So even though Z-Fly has been putting work down bot, it was basically evened out here. But, oh, wait, big ult coming in, trying to clean up Skip here, who was caught out of position. That is Skip going down, and that is a free position for Dread.
This is such a big pickup, big set of pickups rather, for the TK squad. Thanks to just, like you said, one good ulti to be able to take down Zoo. They got so much off of it, and they're looking to continue it. TK going for another jungle clear to get himself buffed up a little bit more before the Dreadnought fight.
We see the originals here getting in position. We already see both buffs on deck. Zoo does still have his ult. He did not waste it in that last fight. You never want to waste it. And it seems like they already recognize that there's somebody probably hiding out in the grass there. Skiff going for the heavy slam to probably try and slam someone out. Nobody's actually here. They're over on that side. So now the originals actually have excellent position other than to try. Yeah, get out of there.
This is weird.
Yeah, that's usually good, except for when you get sat on. So make sure you get out of there. An ult is ever looming from Zoo. He's just waiting for one good call from either Thwack or Skiff to get a heavy slam. Oh, that's not it. That's not it.
That is not it at all, Ajax.
Quickly there, and that is Tito giving up position. Now they're going to go ahead, but you're going to see the Ninetales answer back. We're going to see a whole scrap going on in the center. TK coming in. A lot of people are going down. Who's going to die here? It's going to be TK most likely because he decided to fight them on their point. He's trying to go snag a Citrus Berry.
Hang on.
He does, however, he gets a seismic toss. Remember, wait, hold on. This actually isn't so bad. It looks like TK's team is going to get out of here very much undamaged. That's Tito going down, but there's a lot of damage on Dread. They already started Dreadnought. Is Zoo going to be able to steal this? No! That was amazing!
Ajax, that was just complete and utter chaos. They managed to cap Dread. Zoo managed to get 2 kills. There's so much that happened there in so little time, but I think that the Originals managed to come out on top. I can't even say for sure.
It was TK's team.
Oh, it was TK, okay.
Yeah, it was 100% the MVP of that play right there was TK. Because even though he was getting chunked, what did he do? He went over onto the point while having ult up with Bloody Barrier still available, and I believe he runs Focus Ban on his art as well. So he was able to distract them. He moved the Originals onto the point, and that allowed the team to jump Dreadnought in what has been a very hard thing to win for them all night. They are now going to go ahead and get that, but Z-Fly once again hanging out at the bottom is going to keep him off of scoring there. So that was another clutch play from Z-Fly, because that was a 50 points.
They can keep up top, Ajax. They managed to cap Rotom.
Yeah, they were able to. They were able to get Rotom once again. So now with 18 seconds left, it looks like they might. Actually, never mind. You saw Zoo was going up to go block that, but because Rotom exists, TK's position has a lot of points on the board, and they have a lot of position for Zap. They are going 100% to try and drop this 100 down here at the bottom if they can, because if they can, that is easily them taking back the lead.
They're actually not fighting for Zap. They're using the Snorlax block.
Oh, here comes Skiff, though. He stops it all. Skiff's not there. That is TK's team taking the lead, but he gets away from the block that Tito already set up, and now you're gonna see, hold up, that is a Greninja dropping 100 points on top when they all went bottom. So now all of a sudden the Originals are facing a massive deficit. They have 2 people dead on the other team. You 100% need to start this fight, and you need to win. You need to stop that Greninja up there. You need to stop the Ninetales over there. You need to get Skiff in position to block. You need to get that ult up. You need to make sure that they don't steal, and you got to steal. They got 1 minute left to go. They have plenty of time to get this score, and it looks like we might be going to a game number 5.
We very well might be, as Zoo just dashes in, uses the Greninja, uses the Surf, excuse me, alongside the Zapdos bonus.
That's
Hold
100
on.
points going down bot there, but they did break every single one. So basically, this next 50 seconds is a fight to stop mid and bot. If there's a sliver of hope left for TK's team, if they have enough points amongst 2 people, maybe, just maybe, they might be able to get some points in and get the cap. We only see 27 here on TK. We can't really see, we see 4 there on the Ninetales, so there's not a lot on deck, so we're going to need to see them farm something up and possibly get a steal. It's all dependent on the Originals defense, which they do have here because they do have the potential shield. That's an ult pop. Here comes Zoo. He's going to come in and try and get a snag. But you see, no, this is, again, you see what he did? He went after Zoo. He pushed him back. He got the seismic toss up. He forced Zoo back, and now that allowed them to continue that fight. They got 13 seconds to try and score. This is very important.
9, 8, 7, and it's looking like it's a game win for the Originals. There's just too much defensive prowess on the point here and now. They're not going to be able to get in, and time runs itself out. Looks like the last second Zapdos cap was more than enough to be able to take that out. And Ajax, you said it. We're going to a game 5.
What an incredibly fun night this has been so far. We
Absolutely.
saw the Originals start off with incredible control in those first 2 games. Then they lost at the end. What did they do to answer that? They said, Z-Fly, you stay at bot. You start scoring, you start establishing pressure, and then you get leveled up. And now you are also just as much of a threat as Zoo is in those fights. What did TK's team do in response as well? They started playing way better in the Dreadnought fights. These games have been going down to the very end. It has not been close. It hasn't been a blowout by any means, other than maybe the first game, which they still lost. And it's just been incredible to watch the adjustments coming in from both of them so far.
Yeah, no, it's just been fan-friggin-tastic, and I have to give a lot of credit to Skiff for this play that we're
100%.
seeing right here, and for several more for it. I said it at the beginning, like you mentioned it too. Thank your tanks, man, because they do God's work out here. Skiff
And
quite
look at this
literally
play
might
from-
have saved the originals earlier when TK's
Look at
team
that play
just
from TK right there.
yeah, like TK's team went for the 5-stack down at bot. It wasn't this play exactly, but TK's team, when Zapdos popped, went for the 5-stack down towards bot to try and cap the bottom goal zone. And instead of crumbling, going for Zapdos or whatever, Skiff, the man like a bat out of hell, just came rushing in right here and pushed them all off of the point, prevented all of the scores, and saved the originals' entire game.
Absolutely. It's just been crazy to see. And even right here, this is a spot where anybody could steal. Their Greninja goes to pop, and then it gets blocked by Skiff. If Skiff doesn't get that block up right there, that is the Greninja ult taking Zapdos away. And then you saw they put body blocks in front of the Ninetales as well to try and get them out. That could have easily been TK's team getting that W there as well. But once again, good mental situational awareness coming in from the originals to recognize, even though we're dealing with Zap right now, we cannot put too much focus on them. We need to just make sure they don't hit Zap and then run. And I have been having so much fun with this. We're waiting for Zoo to get reconnected back into the game as you're going into this. Chat, I want to know, who do you have favored to win this? And last, how are you feeling right now?
Let me just ask Toast, can we run a prediction in chat? To see who's going who chat thinks is going to be taking this all-important game number 5. We've seen, let's just do a quick recap. We saw TK's squad take the first 2 games, first with TK playing the Venusaur, second with TK playing the Charizard. Then he played the Machamp and they lost. Then he played the Charizard again and they lost. So a reverse sweep potentially in the cards for the originals. They're in a good position right now. They've been running the same been running with the same confidence, and been running with the same setup throughout this entire set so far. So I wonder if TK is going to make one more change, or if they'll just run with what worked in the past. Either way, we're going to be getting into this game number 5 to determine if they can clutch it out, prevent the reverse sweep, or if we'll see the reverse 3-0.
I'm curious to see it as well, because we're busy, like a good one thing that has happened here from the team, as we will see the switch. This is the first games comp that they went with.
First game comp, baby.
Yep, this is the original one that we saw with Tito running the Snorlax. You got iGreg running the Slowbro. TK has gone back to the Venusaur, which was incredibly good at putting on a lot of late game damage, which did win them those fights. At Solar Beam we referenced earlier, which definitely should be highlighted as one of the best plays of the night, because that pretty much won them game number 1. It is an incredibly consistent damage-based team up top. The bottom, though, one thing I do love about what the originals have done, it has showed it's not always about the characters, it's about the plays made. And if you constantly just switch things up, it might not be the answer. It's about execution, it's about communication, it's about the tactics that you use to win the game. And we are going to see who wins this game number 5 here, the Battle of the Cord number 1 coming in for this matchup. We got TK's team versus the originals. Let's see who closes it out for the night last.
Absolutely. We now see TK headed back towards the top lane. Like you mentioned, this is the composition that we saw for game number 1. We got the Cinderace headed back towards the jungle. TK off of jungler duty. Gets his little bit of a break now. They clear the A-palms. Now they're going to be heading up towards the top, and we're going to see they're actually going, okay, they are going for the standard ingress in to take the crab first, back off. Really well played early on from TK.
Yeah, that's so hard to deal with at top, because the Snorlax pretty much wins the Corphish fight every time. It's very hard to deal with. The basic attacks plus the tackle is so much damage to just not only push Corphish towards your partner up there, but it's also an incredibly big body that gets in the way of anybody trying to get last hit on it. However, I think the matchup's pretty good for the originals up top here, because they can bully TK a bit. One thing that TK can do incredibly well, though, is if he finds himself in the grass with Z-Fly and Exia not noticing, he can definitely steal last hit on a lot of mobs because of things like that Razor Leaf and a Seed Bomb prior to getting the access to Sludge Bomb.
It is an interesting proposition, but right now they are just fighting for bees, and Z-Fly dashes in, takes the bees away, and they might also be taking away the Snorlax. No, he is just going to get onto the cap and take a nap.
Excellent play from him, because not only did he back them off, but he allowed Zoo to get in there in time to show, hey, we got our jungler here. You sure you want to throw down on this right now? I don't think so. Force Palm is so good early game. It is one of the reasons why Lucario is one of the main meta picks you see. However, luckily for TK, he did walk away with a 5-4 in this exchange. We got level 5 here for Ivysaur. You got level 4 for Tito. They do need to rush Tito to level 6, though, because depending on how things are going down at bot, we've seen pretty much every single time Skiff has had Heavy Slam ready for first Dreadnought fight.
Yeah, it's been very, very well played from Skiff throughout the set. We've said it a couple of times. He's kind of been the silent killer on the side of the originals. Not the one who's been in the limelight, but the one who's been putting in the work behind the scenes. Now, though, look at Zoo. Zoo and the Cinderace are both on pace, both level 7. So the fight's going to pop off, but they're immediately going to back off, get a little bit of health back. Not gonna actually. I thought they were going to go for berries, but no.
Yeah, they sometimes you can kind of let them go, especially if you're the Snorlax. You don't have access to.
Oh no.
You don't have access to block yet. Oh, Tito can't fight that. He's level 4 to level 7. He goes down there.
I'm interested as to why Zoo didn't fight it though.
Oh, well, I mean, this is why. You get
this is why. Yeah, you're right.
30 points and you get Bs. Every single time Zoo has gone for Bs. Also because of that 30-point drop. Somebody finally did it!
Someone's stopping Zoo!
They didn't let him get it! And now because of that, Zoo is going to get backed out. However, Zoo is still level 8. This is the first time that TK's team finally decided, hey, we're not going to let him get Bs here. And because of that, look at how much damage he's taken. He has to pretty much back out of this situation. He's going to be forced to back as well. So even though there's 2 people up top, nobody is probably capping Dreadnought right now. And unless they communicated that, they have to basically speed run down there while Zoo's getting hit. As we're seeing, TK and them have already moved down. They're probably going to try and snag Dread, hopefully, before Zoo gets there, because he now has that ever-looming ult on deck.
Yeah, and I love this adaptation from the side of the TK squad. They're going, okay, every single game so far, we've basically given Zoo free Bs up at the top lane, and we've been punished very hard for it. So this time, why don't we just stop him? So they cluster up, and they just absolutely destroy Zoo. But look at this. Here we're going.
Okay, so let's see what happens. Solar Beam is on deck, and they have disengaged from Dreadnought. So all right, Dreadnought's gonna be kept getting damage here from Annabelle. Zoo's coming in. He's gonna come in. He's gonna try and get the steal with the Surf, and it's gonna be Z-Fly instead with the power-up punch who closes it out. So incredibly smart play from TK's team to go and try and deal with Zoo, but unfortunately for TK's team, they weren't able to get enough pressure on the fight down bottom to end up getting Dreadnought. So even though it was a great play, it still ended up working out in favor of the originals.
Yeah, now they are going to back off a little bit. Solar Beam coming through from TK to exert a little bit of pressure. But they're still on the back foot right now. The originals are in great position. Well. Yeah.
I'm pretty interested to see the fact that it looks like, I mean, one good thing that worked out for TK's team here is that the originals didn't cap bot. So that worked out because every other time they have lost bot immediately. Speaking of somebody trying to cap, you can see that Black is going to try and put some points on the board up top. And because of that distraction, it looks like we're going to see Ivysaur coming in to try and get a bot point here as well. But Z-Fly is most likely going to go jump him now because of the fact that he was hanging out too long. Never mind, he's got company, so Z-Fly cannot fight. Look at this adaptation once again from TK's team. They unfortunately did lose Rotom, but they have been preventing what has been losing them the last few games. Whereas never mind, Z-Fly just killed both of them at bottom, so that is completely an irrelevant statement, and Z-Fly is looking at 2 kills on his board.
Z-Fly picks up such an insane play at the bot lane, right, Ajax? But in the meantime, while Z-Fly is going crazy in the bot lane, the rest of the team is going crazy in top. They managed to pick up Rotom. They managed to cap the top score zone, and the originals are kind of running away with this game 5 so far. Look how many 40 bombs they've got in the bank as well as we approach the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, now we're going to see level 12 Zoo. He's already got +1 Surf, so those Surf resets are going to start hitting a whole lot harder. One thing that we're seeing out of TK's team, and this is something people should do on a regular basis, if you lose Dreadnought and you already are losing out on the Rotom fight, immediately farm. You need to get ready. You need ults on deck for the Dreadnought fight. Because even though you are out-leveled here, you do have the ability to get back in the game. You have Buddy Barrier, which is pretty much a standard right now. So you can get a couple late game fights, possibly get yourself a win. The key factor here, though, is not getting heavy slammed by Skiff. He comes in, however, Tito answers back with the block, and that is currently the Greninja down onside of TK's team. That is a lot of people chunked. That is also Tito going down. That is Zoo going ham, and that is iGreg possibly dying here as well. That is 3 people already dead on the side of that team, and you already see Z-Fly and Thwack immediately started jumping on that. So even though they had a nice early attempt there, that is once again the Originals taking second Dreadnought, and now TK's team is heavy on the back foot trying to catch up in levels.
Zoo just popped off as hard as I've ever seen him. So far outpaced, and now they're going to be rotating top lane to try and cap Rotom as well. But look at this. Zoo is literally 3 levels higher than the entire rest of the team. The entire team is out-leveling them as well. Even their jungler is behind. They've got a huge lead. They're looking to cap Rotom. This could just be disastrous for the side of the TK squad before we even see Zapdos make his appearance. Rotom is getting bodied.
They can't fight this at all because they still have Dreadnought shields up. You see Skiff is hanging out, and not even just Skiff. You got Thwack and Exia, who are both there to put up Aurora Veil and use some CC with that Dazzling Gleam to push them away. And now look at what the top lane has to do. They're all fighting Rotom, but what happens as they're fighting Rotom? They get free farm on the side of the Originals, and they get to go bot lane. They get to go and try and put some points on the board, and now it is on the Originals to not throw this game because we have 20 seconds left, and even though they have a massive lead, there still could be a loss in the books for the Originals if they lose here in this team fight, which has begun, and the Cinderace is already down. That is a great block coming in from Zoo. Excuse me, from Skiff. He forced the ult out of Tito, which means there's no ult for Tito in that fight. Speaking of ult being popped, the Greninja has already used it, and now Tito's gonna be pushing himself back into the fight, so they hang out here on this point. But that is 2 big ults gone. Zoo is currently at 64%. He could probably get there pretty soon. It is going to be on them to try and win one more fight. TK's team is moving to mid lane to try and come in last. I'm not sure how they're going to come out with this, but so far, the resources are not in their favor.
I don't know. You did kind of give them the jinx to win this, though, by saying there's no way they can do this. So it's still in the cards.
They could no way to do this. I'm just saying it's going to be really rough.
It's going to be tough. That's for sure. It's going to be tough. Right now, Zoo, level 14, holding down in the tall grass as well. It's looking like TK's team is even having a hard time getting themselves back into lane, let alone into mid to even think about contesting Zap, because as soon as they try and start pushing a lane, they're going to get rushed down, but here it comes.
Originals have to be careful with this. They're currently facing 2 down. That is Pat's possibly dying. Skiff cannot overextend there. He backs off. Thwack gets into position because if they lose 2 people here to this fight, as you see, they all went down bot. This is a lot of ult pop. Exia came in though. He's getting the heals up and he clutches it out. Tito goes down. That is Tito already down, so that is a massive tank out of the way. They have to win this fight. Skiff gets the heavy slam, which allows the ult to go off. That is iGreg going down. That is Annabelle possibly dying here as well. That is TK having to run because he's got nothing he could do. And this is the game going to the Originals. They do not have enough time to get back into this game, get Zap, get the game, and what an incredible reverse 3-0 coming in as they drop another 100. What an insane battle of the chord for the first time we've had this coming in from the Originals versus TK's team. Last, I got no other words. I just threw them all out there. What else? Crazy set, man.
I mean, we got 13 seconds left on the clock, but Ajax, it's just a formality at this point. The Originals have absolutely run away with it. No Zapdos required. They got so far ahead, and now, as the clock runs down, they get to take a victory lap, as like you mentioned, they are the champions in an overwhelming game number 5 victory. A reverse sweep completed, a victory under their belt. They are the victors of the Battle of the Chord Showmatch, taking it over the TK squad.
As the bell strikes midnight here on the East Coast, the Originals have struck victory in this fight. So well played. And that is, like, you look at that stat line right there. The bottom team barely won a single fight. They were barely able to get any damage on the board. But also, even with the 10 kills on Zoo's favor, we gotta, once again, we talk about him all night, but as the set progressed, Skiff and Thwack in particular were both so excellent at getting CC up. They got in when necessary to not only get the heavy slams, they got the dazzling gleams. They kept TK's team from winning in fights. As you can see right here, Skiff came in, he was able to get a slam up, and then Black was also able to get the ult up, which allowed them to push them back. Zoo cleans it up. It's not about who has the most kills, it's about how the team executes the fight, and they executed so well as the set went on.
No, like Zoo, of course, was topping the leaderboard in terms of kills game after game, but none of those kills would have been possible if it weren't for players like Skiff setting them up for him over and over and over. It's just the alley-oop into the dunk. Fantastically played by the entire squad of the Originals. And, well, this is exactly why they're one of the biggest climbing teams in the entire Discord, trying to get up the ranks in terms of everything. And, like you mentioned, they take it. Such a fantastic play. And Ajax, I think that's it for tonight. So, take it away.
100%. A big reason why I'm even in Masters rank right now is because of this crew that we just saw play tonight. We all coordinate together. We all have a lot of fun. We get to have a lot of games. But tonight was a showcase to see how good they really are. And shout outs as well to TK's team. There's a lot of really good players in there. I really like the iGreg Slober all night. I really like the switch ups from both the Wiggly stuff and the Snorlax from Tito, but unfortunately in the end he ended up losing out on a lot of 1v1s to Skiff. TK always all the all-arounder, moving around with everybody, and then of course Pats and Annabelle coming in with those players as well. But
I mean, Ajax, we're lavishing the praise onto the Originals for the reverse sweep, but keep in mind, for a reverse sweep to be possible, they got to win 2 games in a row in the first place. Like, TK's squad was performing exceptionally well. The Originals just flick the switch.
It was all about the late game for the TK's team, because even though they weren't winning in the early game, they were able to clutch out at the end. But the adjustments from the Originals with the Z-Fly at the bottom, with the constant free farm for Zoo, and at the end when the Originals really figured out how to clutch out those late games, it showed that in best of 1, you could have a lot of really shitty situations where you run into Zapdos, who kind of takes the game away from you. But in a best of 5 situation, you have a lot of time to adjust and make the answers work for you. Like you said, it is the end of the night for us. My name is Ajax. I am at Ajax_HQ on all my socials. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, all under the same exact thing. And I had a lot of fun with this. We'll be back again next week. But before we continue to go anywhere, we got to talk, of course, about Last.
Well, I don't like to take the spotlight, but
yes. Yeah, okay, Mr. Twitter, check mark, let everybody know about it.
You can find me on Twitter at L4ST_V1. I currently am impersonating Aaron because, it's hilarious. But if you want to give me a follow, it would mean the world to me for everything that we do. You can find me whenever I'm casting. I'll post on Twitter. And of course, a huge shout out to Toast specifically, but the entire Bagel Productions crew for helping us put on this show for you. If you like what you see, of course, make sure that you drop him a follow on Twitter at ToastBH.
Somewhere over there.
You can figure it out somewhere.
I was trying to point to the heart symbol where the follow. Make sure you hit the follow, of course.
Make sure you hit the follow, of course, on Bagel Productions Twitch as well. Literally tomorrow, we'll be doing a Mario Kart show match, like a Mario Kart Creator Cup, which I'll be taking part in.
Oh, I didn't know you guys did Mario Kart too. I was saying, hey, Toast, what's good, bro?
Let's talk.
So, I know some Mario
Kart. But without further ado, thank you all so very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Here we go now. Here we go now.